Have you ever heard a story that makes you believe miracles can come from the most unexpected places? Well, stay with me until the very end of this video, because what you're about to hear will not only touch your heart, it might just change the way you look at life. And if you find this story inspiring, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel, because we share stories that remind us of the power of kindness, hope, and never giving up. Ethan Grant was a billionaire CEO. His name alone carried weight in the business world. He owned one of the largest tech companies in the country, his face was on magazine covers, and his words could shake the stock market. But behind the expensive suits, private jets, and luxurious mansions, Ethan was a broken man. 5 years earlier, a car accident had left him paralyzed from the waist down. Since that day, he had been confined to a wheelchair. He tried every doctor, every hospital, every new experimental treatment. But nothing worked. Slowly, he began to lose hope. Though he had wealth beyond imagination, Ethan lived like a prisoner inside his own body. He shut himself off from the world, surrounded only by assistants and employees who followed his orders, but never truly cared about the man behind the title. His heart was heavy with bitterness. One chilly morning, Ethan decided to visit a small town on the outskirts of the city. His company was planning to buy land there for a new factory, and he wanted to see it with his own eyes. His assistants tried to convince him not to go. It was muddy, rural, and had nothing to offer a man of his stature. But Ethan insisted. When they arrived, his luxury car stopped near a small broken bridge. The driver stepped out to check the path, and Ethan sat in his wheelchair by the roadside, waiting impatiently. It was then that he noticed a little girl, no older than 12, watching him from across the road. She wore a simple dress, patched in places, and her shoes were worn out. She carried a basket of flowers, clearly trying to sell them to make a few coins. At first, Ethan ignored her. But the girl walked up to him fearlessly, her big brown eyes shining with innocence. She looked at his wheelchair, then back at him, and said softly, "Mister, why are you sitting like that? Can't you walk?" Ethan was taken aback. People usually avoided talking about his disability. Annoyed, he replied coldly, "No. I can't. And no one can change that." But the girl didn't back down. She smiled gently and said, "Don't worry. I'll help you walk." Ethan almost laughed. For years, world-class doctors and specialists had failed him. And now, a poor little flower seller thought she could help him. He shook his head. "Child, you don't know what you're talking about." But the girl's eyes were full of certainty. "I don't have money, mister. But I have faith. My mother always said if you believe in someone, miracles can happen." Something about her words stayed with Ethan. Over the next few days, Ethan saw her again and again whenever he visited the town. She always greeted him with the same warmth, offering him flowers, chatting with him as though he were just another person, not a billionaire, not a crippled man, but simply Ethan. Slowly, against his own will, he began to open up to her. Her name was Lily. She lived with her widowed mother in a small hut. Life was hard for them, but Lily never complained. She worked tirelessly, yet her spirit was full of hope. One day, Ethan asked her, "Why do you keep saying you'll help me walk?" Lily replied, "Because I believe you will. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But I know it will happen. Until then, I'll be your legs. I'll push your chair, I'll walk with you. You won't be alone." For the first time in years, Ethan felt something he thought he had lost, faith. Weeks turned into months. Ethan began visiting more often, not for business, but for Lily. She reminded him of a simpler, purer world, a world where love and kindness mattered more than money. Encouraged by her words, Ethan gave therapy another chance. This time, he didn't approach it with bitterness, but with hope. Lily often sat by his side during his exercises, clapping, cheering, and telling him, you're stronger than you think. The journey was painful. Many times he wanted to give up. But every time he saw Lily's face, filled with belief, he pushed through. And then, one day, it happened. After months of effort, Ethan stood up. His legs shook, his balance was weak, but he was standing. Lily's eyes filled with tears as she whispered, "See? I told you. I knew you could." Ethan broke down, sobbing like a child. He hadn't just stood on his feet, he had regained his hope, his dignity, his life. From that moment on, Ethan's world changed. He built a rehabilitation center in Lily's town, offering free medical care to children and families who couldn't afford treatment. He sponsored Lily's education, ensuring she had every opportunity to fulfill her dreams. But more than money or power, he gained something priceless, a friendship that healed his soul. Years later, when people asked Ethan how he overcame the impossible, he never mentioned the doctors, the treatments, or his wealth. He always told them about a little poor girl who sold flowers on the roadside and believed in him when he couldn't believe in himself. And that, my friends, is the power of faith, kindness, and never giving up. Sometimes, miracles don't come from science or money, they come from the heart of a child who refuses to stop believing. If this story touched you, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and share it with someone who needs hope today. Because you never know, you might just be the miracle in someone else's life. What if I told you that today could be the single most important day of your life? That the decisions you make this morning, the thoughts you choose to think, and the actions you decide to take could completely rewrite the story of your future? Stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to hear isn't just a collection of words, it's a spark that could ignite the fire inside you. And if by the end, you feel that spark, then don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because together, we are building a community of unstoppable people who rise every morning with power and purpose. Every great story begins with a struggle, and every successful life is written with chapters of pain, doubt, and sacrifice. Think about the mornings when you've opened your eyes but felt no reason to get up. The alarm rings, the world moves, but inside you, it feels heavy, almost impossible to rise. Maybe it's because you failed yesterday. Maybe because someone told you that you're not enough. Maybe because life has beaten you so many times that you started believing you can't win. But let me remind you of something, every single champion you admire once woke up feeling the same way. The greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the strongest leaders all began with mornings where they wanted to give up. Yet, what separates them from the rest of the world is not talent, not money, not luck, it's the decision they made each morning. They decided to rise. They decided to fight. They decided to believe. Imagine a young man named Daniel. He was 24, broke, and working 2 jobs just to survive. Every morning, he sat on the edge of his bed staring at the floor, wondering if anything in his life would ever change. He had dreams, but they felt so far away that they seemed impossible. One morning, instead of giving in to despair, he decided to do something different. He told himself, if I can't change my entire life today, I can at least change the way I live this day. That one thought became the seed of transformation. He started waking up earlier, reading, learning, working on his passion for just an hour before his job. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and slowly his life shifted. What once felt impossible became reality because he chose discipline over comfort, purpose over excuses. Now, let's talk about Sarah. She was a mother of 2, exhausted, working nights and raising kids during the day. She felt invisible, like her dreams no longer mattered. But one morning, as she looked at her children sleeping, she realized she had 2 little pairs of eyes watching her every move. She decided that if she couldn't find the strength for herself, she would find it for them. Every morning, she repeated a mantra, I am strong, I am capable, and I will not give up. Those words became her fuel. Slowly, She built a side business from home, and years later, she became the example her children would proudly follow. Here's the truth: mornings are more than just the start of a new day. They are a reset button. Each morning gives you two choices: continue living the same story, or write a new one. Success is not built in one giant leap. It is built in thousands of small choices, repeated every single morning. When you wake up and move with discipline, when you choose progress over comfort, when you decide to fight instead of fold, that's when you build the life you dream of. But don't be fooled, it won't be easy. There will be mornings when your bed feels like the warmest place in the universe, when the world outside feels too heavy, when your failures whisper louder than your dreams. That's the moment you must rise. That's the moment you must push through, because discipline today is freedom tomorrow. Comfort today is regret tomorrow. Remember, pain is temporary. Sacrifice is temporary. But quitting lasts forever. That's why the people who achieve greatness are not the ones who never fail, they are the ones who never stop getting back up. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. This is your wake-up call. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have all the answers. You don't need to be fearless. You only need to begin. Begin today. Begin this morning. Begin with one small action that moves you closer to your vision. Think of the person you want to become in 5 years. What do they look like? How do they live? What habits do they practice? Every morning, when you wake up, act like that person. Walk like them, think like them, work like them. Eventually, you will become them. So here's my challenge to you: tomorrow morning, when you wake up, before you touch your phone, before you complain, before you give yourself excuses, stand tall, take a deep breath, and tell yourself, today I rise. Today I fight. Today I build my future. And when that voice of doubt comes, because it will, remind yourself that you are stronger than your fear, braver than your pain, and more powerful than you've ever believed. Life isn't waiting for you. Your dreams aren't waiting for you. Your future isn't waiting for you. The only question is, are you ready to wake up and claim it? So if this message touched your heart, if you felt that fire within you, then don't let it stop here. Carry it with you into your mornings. And if you want more of this energy, more of this fire, then like this video and subscribe to the channel, because together we're creating a place where dreamers become doers, where mornings become powerful beginnings, and where ordinary people become extraordinary. This is your time. This is your morning. This is your year. 2025 is waiting for you. Don't just live it, conquer it. What would you do if one day, the life you built with love and trust suddenly shattered before your eyes? Would you crumble under the weight of betrayal, or rise and build a new story, stronger than ever before? Stay with me until the end of this video, because this story is about pain, kindness, and an unexpected miracle that will touch your heart deeply. And if it inspires you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel, because we share stories that remind us of the power of hope and humanity. Amelia had once believed her life was perfect. At 35 years old, she had been married for over a decade, loyal to her husband Thomas, a man she thought would stand by her forever. But life has a way of surprising us, and not always in the way we want. One morning, Thomas packed his bags, looked her in the eye, and told her he was leaving for someone else. Just like that, Amelia's world collapsed. She stood there in silence, clutching the frame of the doorway, her tears refusing to stop, her heart breaking into 1,000 pieces. At first, Amelia thought her life was over. She cried herself to sleep for weeks, staring at the empty side of the bed. But then one morning, she looked in the mirror and said to herself, I may have been abandoned, but I am not broken. She decided she wouldn't waste her life mourning for someone who didn't value her. She would move forward. One evening, walking home from her part-time job at the library, Amelia noticed 3 children sitting huddled together at the edge of the park. They looked cold, hungry, and lost. The oldest was a boy, around 12, with messy dark hair and protective arms wrapped around his younger siblings, a boy of 9 and a little girl of 6, with tangled blonde hair and big frightened eyes. They had no coats, no food, and no parents in sight. Something inside Amelia stirred. She couldn't just walk past. She bought them warm sandwiches from a nearby shop and sat with them. Over the next few days, Amelia kept coming back, bringing food, blankets, and warmth. She learned their names: Ethan, the eldest, brave but weary; Caleb, the middle child, quiet and thoughtful; and Lily, the youngest, full of innocence despite her hunger. Their parents had died tragically in a car accident months earlier, and distant relatives had abandoned them, leaving them to wander the streets alone. Amelia's heart broke. She saw in them the reflection of her own loneliness, and she made a choice that would change all their lives. She applied to adopt them. It wasn't easy. The paperwork was overwhelming, the background checks exhausting, and the financial responsibility terrifying. Amelia wasn't wealthy. She lived in a small rented apartment and worked long hours just to cover her bills. Friends told her she was crazy for taking on 3 kids when she was already struggling. But Amelia didn't listen. She knew love was worth more than money. Slowly, with patience and determination, the adoption was finalized. And for the first time in months, she felt whole again. Her little family was complete. Life wasn't perfect. There were nights when Amelia had to skip dinner to make sure the children ate. She took on extra jobs, tutoring in the evenings, shelving books late into the night. But even in hardship, their home was filled with laughter. Ethan would help cook simple meals, Caleb drew little pictures that he taped to the walls, and Lily loved to sing before bedtime. Their love for each other made the small apartment feel like a castle. But fate had another twist waiting. One morning, Amelia received an unexpected letter addressed to her. Confused, she opened it. Inside was a message from a lawyer requesting her presence. Nervously, she went to the office with the children, unsure of what awaited them. The lawyer, a kind-looking man in his 50s, looked at the children carefully, then back at Amelia. He explained that Ethan, Caleb, and Lily were not ordinary children. They were the direct heirs to a vast family fortune worth over $60 million. Their late grandfather, a powerful businessman, had left everything to them, but after their parents' death, the will had been hidden away by greedy relatives who hoped the children would never be found. The law firm had finally tracked them down, and Amelia, as their adoptive mother, was now their legal guardian. For a long moment, Amelia couldn't breathe. Tears filled her eyes as she looked at the children. They had gone from hunger and despair to having more security than she could have ever imagined. But she didn't cry because of the money. She cried because her act of kindness, her choice to love when she had every reason to close her heart, had brought her blessings she never expected. The news spread quickly. People who had once doubted her came rushing back, offering friendship, asking favors, trying to benefit from her sudden fortune. But Amelia didn't let it change her. She remained humble, focused on giving her children the life they deserved: education, stability, and above all, love. With part of the inheritance, she started a community foundation to help other homeless children, determined to give back the same hope she had once given to Ethan, Caleb, and Lily. Years passed, and Amelia's little family thrived. Ethan became a lawyer, Caleb an artist, and Lily a singer who touched hearts with her voice. But whenever people asked Amelia how she felt about winning the jackpot of fate, she would smile and say, "The real treasure wasn't the money. It was the love we built when we had nothing." And that's the lesson, my friends. Sometimes life takes everything away from us, only to prepare us for something greater. Amelia lost her husband, but she found a family. She gave love when she had little, and the universe returned it 100-fold. So if you've been through heartbreak, rejection, or loss, remember, your story isn't over. Every ending can be a beginning if you're willing to open your heart again. If this story touched you, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel, because we bring you more stories that prove kindness, resilience, and faith can change everything. Together, we can keep spreading hope, one story at a time.